Hello, welcome to our discussion on Chapter 15. So Chapter 15 talks about data and information. As you learned or will learn from the chapter, those are two different things. They sound the same, people use them interchangeably, but they actually are two different things, so we'll discuss that as we move forward. So I hope everything is going well in your semester. I'm glad you have stuck it out this long. We're so close. We're so close. Just a couple more weeks to finish up here. So thank you for sticking with me for so long, and engaging in our conversations, our discussions online. So all great stuff this semester. So I'm so proud of you guys, and you should be proud of yourselves too for making it this far. So let's talk about information and data. So we're talking about general information. We're talking about accounting information. And both are relevant. So I don't know if you've ever heard the term big data. Um, Big data just means there's so much, right? You get bombarded with so much information that sometimes it's hard to make a decision because you have a hard time focusing on the things that are important, right? So if, for instance, you're in a business and you're in charge of quality, right? And you're trying to figure out if your widgets that you make meet the quality standards that you want, right? How do you improve them? How do you, where do they stand now? Where do you want to get to? How do you improve them? That's your goal, right? In quality. But you have so many data points. Data just comes at you from everywhere. So maybe you don't care how many people live in a household. That doesn't affect you, but it's quality that, I mean, it's data that is um, available to you, right? So you can know if the people who buy your widget have two people that live in your house, in their house generally, or have, six. Does that matter to you? It's available to you, but do you care? Does that affect the quality of your widget? Probably not. But it's there. It's data that is available to you. So a lot of people in business, I was going to say managers, but that's not just true. A lot of people in business, depending on what they're trying to do, they have a hard time determining what is best. They end up chasing down a lead that they didn't need. Who cares? It doesn't matter how many people live in the house, right? It matters how they use your product, what the quality is, what their feedback is. That's the data you want to focus on. But a lot of people end up going down the wrong rabbit hole because there's so much data. And that's where a good data analyst comes into play. So I have a data analyst on my team, and he is able to take all this data, millions of data points that we get, and condense it down into something that makes sense to us. So he takes it from literally, I can't even tell you, hundreds of data points for each individual project we're working on. And he's able to condense it down to the 4 or 5 that we need to focus on, what makes sense to us. So he takes out all the noise for us and puts it into something that we can, information that we can use. So he takes data. Data is huge. Data is everything. Data is anything. Data is anything your brain can, take in. So like in your life, not just in business, but in your life, anything that you see, hear, smell, touch, that's data, right? It's data coming in, and your body is able to, your mind is able to translate it into information that makes sense to you, right? Sometimes the data doesn't make sense, and you go, wait, what? Well, how is that happening? So, that correlation works in business also, right? So there's a ton of data coming in. Something needs to synthesize it. Normally, that's a good data analyst will synthesize it into information that makes sense to you, right? I don't need to know, how many of my members play mahjong on Thursday. I don't care. It's not relevant to me. What I do need to know is how do they get there? How do they, what do they do when they're there? Those kind of things are relevant to me. So my data analyst is able to synthesize that down for me. So that's the difference. And it talks about it in, I don't know, somewhere. One of the sections talks about the difference between data and information. That's the difference. Data is everything. Data is the entire universe. Information is what you do with that data to make it usable for you. So Uh, oh, it's in section 1. Good. That's where they talk about it. So that's synthesizing it down to be able to make decisions. That's the information part of it, not just the data part. So section 2 talks about information requirements and the systems that um, people use. MIS, Management Information System. They can be called anything, right? They can be for anything. Um, and it says, the size and complexity is tailored to meet the needs of your organization. So my organization has many. We have many information management systems, and it just depends. At a enterprise corporate level, they're worried about much bigger things than my department is worried about. Right? We have IT departments. We have security departments. We have compliance departments. We have vendor departments, which is what I'm in. We all use different things because we all have different needs. But as I outline in section 3, the 5 basic tasks of an information management system are collecting data, storing data, updating data. So that's all data. That's data only, right? That's the raw feeds coming in from wherever they come from. That's data. Collecting, storing, updating. So they're able to take it in, they're able to update it, they're able to store it for as long as you need. In a lot of cases, regulatory compliance or regulatory storing is 7 to 10 years, depending on what you're working for, but that's a normal. And then it takes that data and processes it processes it into information. So that's the 4th step, right? It's able to get it in, it's able to keep it there, it's able to update it, and it's able to process it, whether a automated form or somebody is able to manipulate it within the system to process it into information that you can use. And then the system is able to present that out in a way that makes sense to the people who are using it. So that's the 5th step, is presenting information. 15.4 changes the conversation now to accounting. So now we're going from general big data, big information, big data into information. We're going from that general discussion now to a financial discussion. So this is talking about accounting and why accounting in general is crucial for any business. You can't just ignore, right? You can't just live on a wing and a prayer. You have to have accounting there to make your business accountable, and accounting makes you accountable. See, I guess maybe that's why it's called that. Anyway, it talks about accounting and the why it's important. I think that's really self-explanatory, right? You have to know how much money's coming in, going out, where everything resides, or you can't pay your bills, you can't pay your associates, you can't, continue. But in order to understand all that, you have to have an audit process in place. Most financial systems have, probably all, have accounting audits in place, and that's what they talk about. And they talk about Sarbanes-Oxley, which I will put another link in this week for you to watch a video on Sarbanes-Oxley. It's very important, and it's in fact, it's one of the things that our annual training consists of in my company. So something I'm reminded of every year, what Sarbanes-Oxley is, and the regulations that it ensures that businesses follow from an accounting standpoint. So I'll put that video in for you to read about, to listen about Sarbanes-Oxley. So the discussion on accounting starts with balance sheet. So a balance sheet includes everything, all your assets. So literally everything, right? If your employee has a mouse, it's included in your balance sheet. Those are assets. It includes a discussion on current, fixed, and intangible discussions. So that is everything that goes into your balance sheet. Liabilities, owner's equity, all of your physical assets, they're all included in your balance sheet. So that is a very detailed, huge for some industries or companies, huge undertaking to keep all that. And then, you get into the discussion on keeping, oh shoot, the word just went out of my head, but as you're, it'll come back to me. But as assets get older, right, you have to take out for their age. And so that discussion all is in the balance sheet. If you have a car that is brand new, it has a different value than a car that is 5 years old, 10 years old, right? So you have to take that into account as you're, if you have a fleet or whatever with your business, all that has to go into, um, into your ratios of how much how much deterioration of value has for an asset. That's all included in your balance sheet. And then we move into the discussion in 15.6. They go into a discussion on an income statement. So an income statement is revenue and expenses. That's it. Money coming in, money going out. That it's money. It's not asset related. It's not a detailed accounting discussion. It's just your revenues, your expenses, right? You made $1 million, you spent $750,000, whatever it is, for a quarter. That's your income statement, financial only. And then they talk about your cash flow statement. The cash flow statement illustrates how a company's operating, investing, and financial activities affect cash during an accounting period. So that's these two together. So they're talking about all of everything with your cash flow, operating, investing, financial. So we're getting into a bigger picture now, right? We're taking these little more data-ish points. It's data that's already been turned into information, but the balance sheet and the income statement kind of turn back into data to be re-assimilated into information for your cash flow statement, because that's what the SEC, or they talk about the Financial Accounting Standards Board, FASB, those organizations, oversight boards, if you will, they use this information to kind of put all that together. So the cash flow statement, the balance sheet, the income statement illustrate results of past decisions and the business's abilities to pay debts and dividends, as well as new financial growth. So this is what people are starting to use now, right? Most people are not, outside of your company, outside of your finance operation, most people are not going to see your balance sheet. Maybe if you get audited, if it's a big deal, but just on a general basis, most people are not going to see your balance sheet. They probably won't see your income statement, but they will start to see your cash flow statement, because this is what entices people to invest. This is what goes for a publicly traded company. This is what goes to the public. This is what they're seeing, right? So they talk about, then the chapter ends 15.8 talking about how it says managers, but really anybody, right? Your investors, your whatever, can use your financial statements that you've put together in the accounting world, in your finance world, from the most detailed to those that are public facing, and that's a good rule of thumb. Just from a business standpoint, you should always have the detail. If you're working on, like my team is working on a project right now where we have to be very detailed. I mean, we have pages and pages of processes and procedures and rules and things, pages. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of work that has gone into putting these things together. We have to make a presentation out to our senior leadership. We're not giving them 13 pages of, just nonstop words. It's not, there's no breaks. It's just like Excel format words. We're not giving that higher up, right? We're condensing it into bullet points. We're taking our big data, our 13 pages of words, and we're condensing it down into a PDF for them to see, into a PowerPoint. It's, 5 slides or something. But those are big font, big spacing, graphics on the side. So that we're taking our big data and we're condensing it down into information that people can digest. Outside of our department, no one can digest these 13 pages of words. They look at it and go, no, tell me in bullets what I'm looking at. And that's what a financial statement does. That's what the cash flow statement does. That's what you're putting out to the world. So it talks about being able to use all your financial statements and put them into financial ratios. That's what people want to see, the ratios that you're reporting out. That's what they want to see. They want 2 sentences, right? what happened, how we're fixing it or how we're moving forward, and what our prognosis is. That's what they want. They don't care about the 13 pages of words. They care about 3 bullet points. That's it. So that's really the essence of data to information. Pages and pages, 3 bullet points. That's, that's what people want to see. So 15.8 sums up with the financial ratios provide a picture of a firm's profitability, its ability to pay its debts, and how often it sells its inventory. These ratios can and should be compared with corresponding information for previous years. So this is all data, right? We're taking data from each year, little points throughout each year, comparing them. That's saying the health of your company and how you're moving forward. How you relate to competitors, how you relate to yourself year over year. That's what people want to see. So it's a great discussion on accounting and data and information. And it's very important, and things that kind of get overlooked, right? So many people want to put so much detail into everything. It's not the best way in a lot of cases to do it, right? So you want to have a ton of information, but you want to condense data. You want to have a ton of data, but you want to condense it into information that makes sense to an outside party. So that's what 15 is about. Definitely read through it. When I post it, like I said, I'll put the Sarbanes-Oxley video in there for you also. So again, thank you for sticking with. We only have 1 week left. So great work, you all. You have done just fantastic this semester. So I'm excited to wrap it up with you. So thanks for sticking with, and we will see you again next week.